Welcome back to today's video. Playing Seaside. In today's video, we're going to be doing part 2 of our tour of Seaside. So, in the first part, we covered the entire city, at least the main city. This part, we might finish the whole city or we might not. Obviously, if there's a little bit left, we'll complete it, but I'm trying to aim for half an hour at most. But that's enough talking from me. Start off over here because this is the last part of this side of the highway that we didn't do. So coming right under the tunnel from our transit hub, and from our transit hub there's two lines going to our suburbs. These won't play a role right now, but in the future they will. We have our purple, or pink, purple, whatever you want to call it. I say it's purple. That is our not local train, so it's not express. And then there is our blue line, which is the express train. They run the same route, just the purple has more stops and the blue has less. And it's just express train, so it obviously skips past less major stops. But after the tunnel coming from our transit hub, on the right you have a big postage facility. This is here because of the airport. They would want one nearby the airport, and this is very close to the airport, so does the use that is needed for. We have bus lines coming in here, and then we have some businesses, a small little park, and then some homes in here. And this is all just kind of just to give that decline down to low density buildings here. So we have a nice mall in here, and this is our mini transit hub for this area. All the bus lines go to here. Then coming up, we have a main road along here, and then we have a bunch of homes and businesses all in here. Schools, parks, all sorts of stuff. If you name it, it probably is in here. And then over here, this is our connection to the other side of the highway. This bridge connects into the rest of the suburbs, and it allows for quick access from here to there. And it doesn't disrupt the highway, obviously, since it is a bridge. Originally, this was a place to get onto the highway, but then we got rid of it because it was causing traffic problems. So now it's like that, and it just leads into this main road, which then connects into the highway interchange over here. I'll talk a bit more on that in a little bit. Over here, we have our orchard. More businesses and offices in here. And this is where our low density residential starts to spread out along with our businesses too. And then it eventually fizzles out to nothing. Right along here I decided to leave Blink or than the service road. Just because the airport here blocks a lot of stuff. It'd be very noisy, so the land isn't too valuable. And also just is on a hill, so it's hard to build on, especially in the skylines. So there is just a road connecting it, but I don't think really anyone used it. If we look at our routes, there is one truck coming from where? Right here. This little guy who is coming from, can I select him? There we go. Who is coming from somewhere, but he's delivering to the flour mill from a small crop field over here. But yeah, that road just lost connection to there. Then coming along here, we have more of of homes, and then this is our big farm. This is all cotton, I believe. Yeah, cotton. So it's a big cotton farm in here. We are in the south, so cotton is a pretty big crop for south, and there's a ton of farm infrastructure in here since this is a pretty big farm. And all these trucks are all trying to work their way to the airport with this long line of trucks. Nothing I can do about it though, really. Kinda sad. But let's follow our route across the bridge here, come over here, and then if trucks are exporting their goods or needing to go somewhere else a bit faster, they can get onto the highway. So here is our new highway connection. So there is the main highway, which comes in from off the map and then goes into our ring road around the city, but more importantly it goes straight directly through the suburbs. It's a little bit more direct, but because of all the traffic volume on it, we built a second bypass highway that goes around the outside of the city with a lot less people going on it to reduce the amount of traffic on the main one. And this one just allows for people that are just passing through the city to not need to pay tolls and also not need to get into the congestion of all the traffic in here. So that it can just be local traffic. And like I said, everyone that enters the city gets paid a toll. So there is the toll road over here. So if you're entering or exiting over here, you do have to pay the toll. Or anyone that is on the highway here. So you do end up paying the toll even if you go on the bypass, but you don't need to pay it twice now, because instead the other one is over here just after the bypass entrance. But in this area, got homes, businesses, all that kinds of stuff. But just continuing with more suburbs. We have wind turbines in here. London see a residential substation along with a corn farm. Another crop fairly popular in the south. And these are temporary crematoriums, which need to get demolished. Because those are temporary. As I said, you must have just forgotten to get rid of them. But there's tons of trucks coming in here. And this highway, it is definitely not the most efficient with its exits since they don't need the capacity that the main one does. But, which I mean is causing a bit of blockage, but it's fine. In the end, there's not enough people to where it's going to cause any sort of big problems. So, yeah, and then coming over here, I got another small neighborhood. And then coming off from the highway, we lead into our main suburbs, but we'll start over here. This is where all of our big rail infrastructure is. So this is our main line here. It goes through here, goes off to the left, then just goes straight up. This is the main line through the city. So trains do need to take that. There is no bypass for them. There is a small siding here for this garbage plant. But, which mean ain't a big deal, especially since most trains are coming through here are going into the city. But here's one of our train stations for over in the suburbs. This is right in a big industrial complex, so it made sense to have it here, and it's directly off the main line. But for all passenger rail going into the city, they take this giant Y to come into here. And they can go up, and then they're into the transit hub. And then for our suburbs lines, the purple and blue line, they split off here to then continue down here for the suburbs. And this section here between the transit hub and this first stop is one of the longest sections without on the suburbs lines. And they are both very long rail lines with many stops compared to the other two. And they see a lot more ridership, but that's just because they service a lot more people. And then for freight, they have two ways of getting into the city. There's this way, which leads directly into the airport, and this brings them onto the right side of the loop. And if they're going on the left side, they come to this giant Y. Mainland's over here, but if they want to go into the left side of the loop, they just go into here, and they make a right here in this giant Y. And this, if you make a left here, it goes down to here, and it continues on here for another cargo train station. And then if it continues along here, it does cross over our intercity lines. And then there's another cargo train station here, which this actually gets trains going into it compared to the other one. Then it continues along to here, where it then merges into our intercity line. And there is another path off the main line here, which the main line continues on over here after a big Y there, and then it goes out to there. So that's the rail main line. But then coming back over here, in here, tons of homes, and then we have some industry in here, and then more homes, some offices in here. But this is a lot more businesses in this part specifically, but then right here is homes, all grid pretty much. Then I have some more factories, a little mini zoo. That's the second zoo of the city. Suburbs, this big industrial complex I was talking about earlier. And then we have our first station on our inner city lines. This is only serviced by the purple line, since this is a non-major stop. The blue line, the express trains, just pass right on through it. And this just allows for that blue line to have fewer stops, so it's a bit faster from the end to end points. And then coming along here, we got more gridded suburbs and some more suburbs of all homes, then some entertainment and commercial in here, along with our nature reserve. Then there are wildlife crossings here, and this is also a pedestrian bridge. But over here is a wildlife crossing for our bypass highway, so this way wildlife can get across without getting possibly hit by a car, which could cause problems with that. But we didn't talk about over here. This is very unorganized how I'm doing this, but well, we're making it work. This is our big oil industry. Having our garbage plant back there. And then in here we got some generic industry along with some warehouses, some garbage, and then another coal power plant. And then coming along here we got more industry and some generic industry, and this is where we left off talking about the industry in the last episode. So you have a water treatment plant, flour mill, power plant, and then we have harbors all along here, and the boat building, dockyard. I might have talked about this stuff in the last episode, so I'm just glazing past it. But we have a mix of low density residential and commercial in here, and we also have our monorail in here. And this monorail connects straight from Transit Hub to the other cruise terminal in our city. That's right, there is two, in two separate spots. But continuing along our monorail, here's the other stop over in the suburbs here. Have some facilities, healthcare stuff, and then our historic district in here. This is all historic buildings right in here. And then we also have fish market down here, and this is our cruise terminal. So this has cruise ships coming into it, but it also serves as our bus hub and also has a monorail connection, so the monorail ends off here. And this is the terminus of the main city monorail. There is two other monorails. Those are in the little city. And this is also the bus hub for the local area too. We got a park over here. Nice big boat hotel. And then we have some low density commercial and residential in here. Over in here, this is our Japanese district. It's all Japanese buildings. And then we have a big shopping center in here. Some offices, some more commercial and tourism stuff. Low density residential. And then we have a little on and off ramp for the highway. This isn't for both sides, or just for this side. So this side has a space for the infrastructure. And this was just to give an extra place for them to get on and off, just to reduce the amount of cars going into the other two exit ramps through here, since there wasn't space for one, and this is very close to the other two. So I decided to do that just to help increase capacity on it. And then more low density residential and commercial all throughout here. Then let's just take a quick pop over on this side of the highway. And what's I saying? Back where we were for nature reserve over here, we got some parking, parks, commercial, schools, all sorts of stuff. Low density commercial. Coming over here, got some offices, and then a waste treatment plant. So this is a combination of water treatment and garbage treatment, all in one place. And it does have a siding off the main line of our rail network. It isn't used, but it's cool just to have it represented. And then coming along here, we connect with the main road here. And this is called Isabel Drive. Or Avenue, named after a friend of mine. A lot of the streets in the city are named after friends that I am close with. So, they're throughout the city. Low-density residential in here. Some mid-density residential in here too. Park or road maintenance buildings in here too. For road maintenance, of course, very important. And then over here, we have the Dinner Bone interchange off the bypass highway. This is the next one from where we were last at. Small little neighborhood over here. Then some more homes in here, and then another corn farm back here, along with a bunch of wind turbines all along this back area that sprawl throughout the plains without many trees, so there's a high amount of wind. Then coming over here, there is a bridge over our train tracks, and obviously between the high volume of cars and trains, there would be way too many people going through here and trains for there to be a grade crossing. So tracks go down a bit, road goes up a bit, you get a bridge going over each other, leading into the last interchange of the bypass before it merges back with the main highway. Then coming over to the other side of the bypass, we have where it splits off into the woods with all low density residential in here, and some more schools and parks and stuff all in here. And then this is where the main high school is for this entire area. Since there isn't around here, it serves pretty much this entire area on screen. Low density residential in here, starting to get a bit repetitive, but then we come into our interchange. This is entirely to split the what would be the interstate into the main highway and the bypass. So if you go from to the right from here, going into the bypass, left the main highway. Right main highway, left, or I mean they're both the highway, but the interstate's to the left, main highway's to the right. You get the gist. But coming back over on this side, back to where we left off, we have a nice cow farm. Cows all in there. We have a little mini university, help service the people in here. Schools have these little outposts throughout their area that they cover, just to give access to everyone for education, and this would be one of them. So it's a nice little outpost for a university, and does have a university in it. Over here is our cargo train terminal, as I talked about before, and then we have more warehouses and stuff for it. Over here is the purple ferry line stop. So this is the non-express one that comes up in here. The express one just goes straight from the big city to little city, and that's the orange line, I believe, right? Or it might be the red. Yeah, the red line just goes directly between the two through the bay. And this is where everything kind of merges together into one big complex of suburbs, instead of just being two split by the highway. And then, as I was saying, We have in our orchard over here. This one is for oranges. Then we have some animals up front here. Parking stuff. Some low density commercial and residential in here. And over here we have another orchard. And this one is for oranges as well. And then coming along here, we have some more just grid of low density residential. Over here we have low density commercial with a nice little city park behind them, right there. And then over here we have our third train station of our suburbs train line. This is the second stop of the blue line, or the express line, third of the purple. Then also a small place for buses to here. So this way they can have their own place just to unload. And then coming on down towards the coast, we have some more homes. And then more, we have more low density commercial right next to our, what's this called? The Ocean Resort. With a nice little bus stop for, and then our fish market in here to help deal with the amount of fish that we have coming in. Then along here, this is where it starts to disperse out and become very not dense, I guess. So there is a school here, then also some services, and then just becomes very infrequent homes and businesses in here, along with some more homes and businesses along the coast here. And then up here we have our forestry industry. Have some full grown plots of trees, and then some saplings. And then also some maintenance buildings, and also log storage yards over here. And then we have the Kroger train station for our trees, and then we have some processing facilities over here, and there are some more throughout this area too for our trees too. But that'll be it from me. Part 3 will finish up the series of Seaside by showing off the last bit of the city. But I do hope you've enjoyed part 2 of the Seaside tour. If you have enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. Do see you next one. Bye.